What is up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Drive for Show, DFS for Dough, here on RotoGrinders. And if we're here talking golf, that means we've got another DFS tournament on tap this week, which we do for the 3M Open this week. So should be a fun tournament, even though it is a little bit of a letdown the week after a major. We saw Xander Schauffele take down the Open Championship in the final major of the season last week. We'll recap that briefly. And as usual, Justin Van Zuiden here. I'm STL Cardinals 84 in the DFS streets. Have Mr. Notorious, Derek Farnsworth alongside as well. Hit the outright pick with Schauffele last week. Team over at Scores and Odds has been crushing the golf outrights this year. So kudos on another hit there, Noto. And how was your week?
Yeah, thankfully hit the outright because I missed everything else. DFS was pretty bad. A lot of carnage with the cut line. I'm sure we'll talk about that. But it was fun watching the tournament. And old man over here, I didn't even wake up earlier than like 6 at any point during the tournament. What about you?
Yeah, I didn't either because most of my lineups they didn't really have any big sweats. So if I had a big sweat, I'd have maybe gotten up a little bit earlier, but didn't really have anything going. So and still, even if you're up at 7 or 8 o'clock, it was enough to watch the leaders on the weekend. So it was old man schedule for me as well. Noto mentioned the cut sweat last week. Of course, Schauffele gets the win with an incredible round on Sunday. Billy Horschel and Justin Rose and Lawrence too. I mean, really nothing to be ungrateful about with the way they played on Sunday. They all played really well. Just Schauffele played a little bit better, and 6 under was enough to sneak by everybody else by a couple of strokes. But Justin Rose, Billy Horschel tied for second. Thurston Lawrence and Russell Henley rounded out the top 5. Shane Lowry faded a bit after a hot start. John Rahm, Scotty Scheffler, Sung J M kind of rounding out the bottom part of that top 10. Adam Scott kind of backdoored a top 10 on the weekend as well. But just pretty incredible the way Schauffele played down the stretch in the majors this year. Got himself a couple wins. And, it was pretty much anybody who wanted to, take it there on Sunday. It was going to be tough to get past Schauffele.
Yeah, for sure. It's kind of crazy. You mentioned, Rose, Horschel, Lawrence all playing really well. I think any of them would have taken their scores if you would have told them what they shot before the round started. 67 for Rose, 68 for Horschel. I mean, it was looking for a while there that, Thurston Lawrence was going to win. The whole first 9, he was just getting aggressive. Every single tee shot, he was hitting driver, hitting all the greens. But it seemed like it really turned there on 11 when Xander was the only one in the field to birdie it. He was kind of in the thick stuff and had to hit a blind shot over a gorse bush and stuck it to a couple feet. From there, he just went into a different mode. Birdie 13, birdie 14, birdie 16, and it kind of felt like nobody else could really catch him. Rose played great. It seemed like he just burned a bunch of edges on his putts. He had a lot of putts that could have dropped, and then Horschel was kind of out of it. He had those 3 birdies there at the end. But it was really fun to watch. I always love just a different test of golf. We saw Scheffler kind of fall apart there at the end. I don't know if you saw his drive on 18, but
I did.
I've never seen that. And the broadcast didn't even show it at first. They showed his second ball that he hit and thought it was his first ball because the first one was so bad. But it was a fun tournament. I'm going to miss it. No majors for 260 days, something like that.
Yeah, a long time for sure. And Scheffler with the old 176-yard drive there on 18 that he had to take the penalty and re-hit. But 176-yard drive, I'm familiar with those. So one of us for one shot maybe throughout his year. But Noto also mentioned the cut sweat being kind of a crazy one. It got down to +6, but there were still some big names just barely outside of that. Akshay Bhatia, Keegan Bradley, Will Zalatoris, all were at +7. Louis Oosthuizen, JT Poston, Terrell Hatton, Nick Taylor, a couple other decent names at +8. There were a few guys like Oberg and Fleetwood and DeChambeau that were just never really in it throughout the course of the first couple days. And those 3 names right there, Fleetwood and Oberg and Bryson, that probably combined for about 70% ownership in most of the contest. Finau, a pretty tough week as well. So, and of course Rory, but just going down the list, remembering all the names of all the high owned guys that missed the cut, made the 6 out of 6 percentage pretty low. And I mean, it was a good chunk of the top names there that really never were in it.
That Friday afternoon sweat was not fun. Finau was like top 15 before the day started. Shot an 81, missed the cut. Hatton, another guy, all he needed to do was get par of the par 5, and he would have made the cut. Ended up bogeying it when he was greenside in 2. And then all those other guys that you mentioned, Rory McIlroy just was never in it. It was kind of a crazy week for the cut. And yeah, I think I built 80 lineups, didn't have one 6 of 6. So I had to hit the showdown lineup or showdown lobby pretty hard. Any thoughts on the course? I really love the postage stamp 100-yard hole that just caused havoc. I think Neiman had an 8 on the hole. Did you end up seeing those highlights?
Yeah, I did. I like it. I mean, I like courses like that where you can have a hole where there's a range of scores from, 1 in theory to an 8. And we see some of that this week as well. I mean, this course upcoming for the 3M is a course that generally yields a lot of birdies, but there's also a lot of trouble. So, you can see a wide disparity in the really good scores and the really bad scores. Obviously, weather played more of an element last week than it does in a lot of these courses over here in the States. But I like the way that course is set up. It's scoreable in the right conditions and with the right shots, and it's going to punish you. If you're not finding the greens in regulation and finding the fairways. And I thought it was really interesting that, the prevailing narrative there at Royal Troon always is the first 6 holes are the easy holes when they're normally playing into the prevailing wind. But the first 2 days, the wind was blowing from the opposite direction. So the front 9 became really difficult. And then the back 9 was still really difficult. And it was really pronounced on Friday afternoon when the weather conditions were the worst. When Noto was mentioning some of those guys there golfing. So I thought it was really interesting to see them playing in the opposite wind, because a lot of guys on Thursday really, when they got those different conditions, is like they didn't know what to do out there because they hadn't practiced in those conditions.
Oh, sorry, I was on mute. Yeah, a lot of guys talked about that in their interviews, and I think the broadcast said there was like a 3.5 stroke difference between the morning and afternoon wave on Friday. I didn't double check that, but that's pretty crazy. Just goes to show when it comes to anytime we get weather, you want to stack both sides in your tournament lineups just in case something like that happens.
Yeah, so Data Golf shows the AM wave at plus 2.4 and the PM wave at plus 4.3, which would be 1.9 shots, but 2.5 shots on the front 9, and then the back 9 actually played easier. So the front 9 on Friday afternoon played to plus 3, which again, that's the easier side. When you look on Saturday, where the wind shifted back to the normal direction, the front 9 played under par after playing plus 3 on Friday afternoon. So just crazy how the wind can make an impact on those links courses. And I mean, obviously it's always been the case, and it can give you an edge in your DFS lineup building if you stack the right side. So we did mention, even if it doesn't look like there's a huge edge, it might be wise to do some tee time stacks. And if you got the guys going out early on Friday, that ended up being the better side of the draw. So anything else from last week before we turn the page?
Yeah, props to Daniel Brown. I thought he had no chance of sticking around after getting the first round leader. He was pretty much there all weekend. 74 on Sunday, I still thought that was pretty impressive, given the fact that he had been so bad in his last 10 starts, and got to think he was under a ton of pressure. He was out there just smoking cigs the whole time. That was kind of funny. And then, Lowry and Hatton, they just didn't have the best quotes. Not the most likable quotes from those guys, complaining about a lot of stuff. But yeah, I thought it was a great week. Ready to get to the real major, the 3M.
Yeah, those quotes kind of surprised me from Lowry. Obviously, they don't from Hatton because he'll say anything. But from Lowry, it was a little bit surprising. But all right, we turn our attention to the 3M Open this week. Back stateside, a lot of guys, of course, taking the week off after a major. So pretty weak field. Maybe the worst we've seen in a couple of months. this field is definitely worse than the John Deere, which is always, kind of my checkpoint of when you got a really weak field event. You basically got maybe 3 or 4 names at the top, and then kind of everybody else. Clanton, again, the amateur, as the 6th or 7th highest priced guy on the board. Just not a whole lot to get excited about this week. It probably won't take us a whole lot of time to get through the analysis. And then, of course, we'll do the snake draft at the end of the show, as usual. For anybody that wants to hop into that, that'll get pretty ugly this week as we get to the bottom tier. But first things first, 6th year for this event at TPC Twin Cities, par 71 course. Noto, what do we got for a course this week?
Yeah, so hopefully we can fill the snake draft. We got a decent amount of viewers, so stick around to the end if you want to do that.
Our new producer for tonight, TJ, as well, says he's going to hop in. So
okay, I think we're doing a giveaway for some RG Premium, maybe. I think that's what Devin said in our
winner we can get some goodies away. So
stick around to the end of the show. But this week, TPC Twin Cities. This might be a hot take, but I kind of like the course. I love the finish, the par 5 that over the water. Basically, if you hit the green, you're going to have an eagle look, and if you don't, you're probably going to be hitting your 4th into the green from the same spot that you were in the fairway. Water's in play on 15 of the 18 holes. I think this is up there with PGA National, TPC Sawgrass with the most water balls every single year. And again, a lot of the water are force carries. So if you do hit it in the water and you don't carry it, then you're going to be hitting from the same spot that you were, essentially a 2-stroke penalty rather than just a 1-stroke penalty.
And I still maintain that those rules are dumb. The golf, the rules are so dumb. Like, you can see some courses where you hit it into the water on the side. I've seen a guy get like a drop on the fringe before.
Yeah.
But yet, something like this, you could be dropping back 250 yards and hitting the same shot again. I know, it's the rule is a rule, but it's dumb to me because sometimes it's effectively a 2-shot penalty and sometimes it's like a half a shot penalty.
Yeah, it's not as dumb as getting a free drop from a sprinkler head in the middle of Paul Fescue, but a lot of dumb golf rules. It's par 71, just over 7,400 yards. It's one of those courses where bombers have had success, shorter hitters have had success. It's really just about keeping it out of the water. The greens are pretty big. Everyone hits the greens in regulation. It was 73% last year. So I think that lessens the importance of around the green play. It increases the importance of putting and iron play. And you're going to have to make a lot of birdies, but I think similar to what we said at the John Deere, I think you just want to avoid bogeys because everybody's going to be making birdies. So avoid the big numbers, kind of keep yourself in it off the tee. And that's pretty much it. Do you have any strong takes on player profile?
Yeah, no, I like targeting guys who are, good approach proximity, birdie makers. And like we've talked about with some of these other events during the summer, the bogey avoidance maybe is a bigger deal than at least I've given it credit for in previous years on these courses where there are scoreable holes. So particularly with all the water around here, I mean, it's on 15 of the holes. It's playable, there's maybe on half of those, a little more than half, unless you really miss. But you can make some double bogeys too if you're hitting it all over the place. So part of the reason that makes this course fun, but you are probably going to need 6-6 to be near the top of any tournament because there will be some birdies and eagles to be had on this course. So otherwise, I think we're pretty much in agreement as to the player profile to target this week. And we can kick it on into the analysis. Different little pricing mechanisms this week. It's not the, $12K Scheffler at the top, $12.5K. Finau is the most expensive golfer. He is not the defending champ. He won here 2 years ago, 7th, I believe, last year, and is the pretty solid favorite here this year. And he's only 10.5. So not the premium that we're used to paying for the top end golfer in these weaker fields. Theegala is 10.3. He's missed the cut in all 3 of his previous trips here. Sam Burns is the only other golfer above 10K. And maybe throw Akshay in there as well at 9,800 as the next closest guy. When you look at Theegala's never played well here. Finau has made the cut all 5 years. He's not noticeably more expensive. Clearly likes playing on the course. He's playing every year, the week after a major here. I see no reason to play any of these other three guys at the top over Finau, unless the ownership ends up getting extremely outrageous. But Finau, the clear number one for me out of that top group. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, we don't have any ownership projections yet, but I'm right there with you. I hate that they priced them at 10.5, but at the same time, a couple times a year, maybe once a year, I lock a player in my MME builds. I'm going to do that this week with Finau. I think he should be $1,000 more expensive, $1,500 more expensive. You mentioned Tigala not being great here. Sam Burns, his recent form looks okay, but it's all been around the green and putting, and ball striking hasn't been very good. And balanced builds don't look very good. Do you want to start with like Clanton or Keegan or Cam Davis? I don't see how you don't play Finau this week. He's one of the best iron players in the field. 5 straight top 30s here, including a win. So I'm with you. I think I'm just going to lock him.
Yeah, tough to argue against it when you look at how well he's played here. Again, started every time. Won here 2 years back. He's got 3 top 10s and every finish 28th or better. He's gained almost 50 strokes on the field in those 5 starts. So he's my clear preference at the top as well. And agree that just the full-on balance builds don't pop as much as what you might expect. So we're in agreement there. Going down into the rest of the 9Ks, Billy Horschel at 9,600. I mean, I'm not actively avoiding guys that played last week. Does worry me a little bit because he seems to be a guy that was quite emotionally invested, obviously, into trying to win that major on Sunday. Still finished really strong with those 3 birdies at the end that Noto mentioned earlier, but probably a little bit of a letdown fatigue factor with Horschel this week. Everybody knows that I don't play Horschel all that much either, and playing him at 9,600 probably isn't going to happen regardless of the circumstances. So I'm probably just making an excuse not to play him. But regardless, not playing Horschel at 9,600. We've got Mitchell, the aforementioned amateur, Clanton, who's been playing really well, Poston, and Keegan Bradley rounding out the 9Ks. Do you have a strong take in here?
No super strong takes. I do think Keith Mitchell is interesting. Targeting him on a course where you have to putt well never feels good, but he's the number 1 ball striker over the last 36 rounds. He's finished 5th here each of the last 2 times he's played. And I went and dove into his stats. He gained 12 strokes putting in those 2 top 5 finishes. So maybe this course brings out his good putting. That's what I'm hoping anyway. So I like him at 94. Horschel, like you mentioned, I missed him at 6,700 last week, so it's hard to pay 9,600 for him this week. He should be very comfortable around all the water, though. From Florida. So if you do want to play, did finish T13 here last year. Poston seems very safe. He's just a cut maker. Hits a lot of fairways. 3 straight top 30s here. I think he could be like your second man in with Finau, but don't have a ton of strong takes. Probably not going to be on Keegan. Clanton, he's been so good off the tee per round. We haven't played much, but he could be a guy that could be interesting if he drives it well. Akshay, no issue there, but he's never played here. Yeah, I don't know. This Mitchell and Poston probably my favorites.
Yeah, Mitchell and Clanton are probably mine. Obviously, Mitchell, I think with his ball striking in this field is tough to ignore. And Clanton, you look at his results. He was T10 at the Rocket Mortgage. It's an easy course with a lot of birdies. T2 at the John Deere, an easy course with a lot of birdies. So made 26 birdies that week. I think he's fine. Does feel overpriced, obviously. Doesn't have a ton of PGA Tour experience, but has shown himself well, particularly off the tee in his 4 starts. So Mitchell and Clanton for me probably in this range in GPPs, with Mitchell being the favorite. I do agree that Poston seems pretty safe, but probably off of him in my tournament builds this week. All right, let's move into the 8K range. At the bottom of the 8K range, DraftKings released their pricing when Justin Rose was still in the field. He is not in the field anymore, so make sure you don't have any Justin Rose in your lineups. But outside of that, we've got basically one guy. It is exactly one guy at each level of the 8Ks. Cam Davis at 89, Hoagie at 88, Pendrith at 87, Van Rooyen at 86, Grillo at 85, Dunlap at 84, McNeely at 83, Hodges at 82, Rogers at 8,100. The pricing algorithm just spit out one guy at each level this week. This is the range that I think you're going to start to see different opinions. I think there's a good bit of boomer bust guys in this 8K range. What are your thoughts on a few of them?
Yeah, so we have the two, horses for courses in Cam Davis and Emiliano Grillo. Davis has 4 straight top 30s here. His results, over the course of the season are very volatile, but he tends to play the same place as well every year. He's won the Rocket Mortgage twice now. So I think he's at least a little bit interesting. Grillo, 3 top 10s here in the last 4 years. He doesn't have the same kind of incoming form. But my favorites, I love Tom Hoge. Grew up playing a lot in Minnesota, grew up in North Dakota. Talks about his comfortability here. Best iron player in the field, back-to-back top 20s at this event. I think Pendrith is a good setup for the course. He's a bomber that can putt. And then the model loves EVR. I haven't played much of him this year. And if you remember a few years ago, this is where he was like 30% chalk. Because everyone was talking up he went to Minnesota, loves the course, all that. And then he came out and this was like 8 over immediately.
Yes. He's got 2 missed cuts and a 58th.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's translated.
I'm hoping he's not going to be too popular. He's been very consistent this year. The only weakness is around the green, and these guys are hitting 75 to 80% of greens in regulation. I think that's not going to be an issue. So I do like him. I'll play a little bit of McNeely as well after back-to-back missed cuts. And then I don't know what happened to him. I saw he was like T6 on Thursday at the Open, and then I checked today and he missed the cut. So he must have had a real bad.
Who's this?
McNeely.
Oh, yeah, he missed the cut at the John Deere as well as a popular play. Really tanked the second round there too. I think he's somewhat interesting this week. I'm a little perturbed at Nick Dunlap, who I had a strong conviction on for the John Deere, and he missed the cut at the John Deere by like 2 shots, and then he goes out the week of the Open and wins the Barracuda when there's like no contests for that. So guy that's again, he won the Barracuda last week with a bunch of birdies, T10 at the Rocket Mortgage. So he's another guy, young up and comer that has shown well so far on the easy courses. So I think Pendrith is probably my favorite. Hoagie is probably the safe guy. I think sprinkling in Dunlap and McNeely in your GPP builds is fine as well. So any other thoughts on this range?
That should do it for me.
All right, let's go ahead and move into the 7Ks. Again, not going to take us a whole lot of time to get through the golfers this week. Once we get below 7K, it gets pretty ugly in terms of the guys that we have available. So we'll probably only be about a half an hour tonight, and then we'll spend 10 or 15 minutes doing our snake draft before we get out of here. All right, 7K range. Ben Griffin leads that off. I know he's been a favorite of Noto's over the past month or so. Quite a few options here after the $1 per pricing $100 tier in the 8Ks. We've got a few more options in here. Thor Bjornsson as well, coming off a pretty good finish at the John Deere a couple of weeks ago. Mac Meissner at 7,600 was in the mix at the Barracuda last week. He's been playing pretty good golf over the past month. So it's, a lot of up-and-comers in here, maybe some struggling veterans like Adam Hadwin, Mackenzie Hughes in this range. I think Meissner is probably my favorite. He's shown pretty good over the last month, T20, T16, and 4th on 3 of the easier courses. And I know, he was grading out pretty well in either in our projections or Noto's projections a couple weeks back. And he's been playing pretty well ever since. So Meissner, I think there's, a lot of interesting guys in here. Griffin will probably be the safer play out of that bunch. But guys like Thor Bjornsson and Meissner, I think, are interesting this week as GPP flyers. What are your thoughts on the upper part of the 7K range?
Yeah, I like the Meissner call. You mentioned it last week. Ben Griffin's kind of my new Brian Harmon. He's number 9 in the model overall. He did miss the cut last week, but prior to that, he made 6 straight cuts with a couple top 5s. Very accurate off the tee, good putter, T20 here last year. So I have him tagged as a core play, which doesn't feel great, but I'm rolling with it anyway. Sam Stevens has kind of got the bomber putter combo working for him. You have Thor Bjornsson, who has a ton of upside. could miss the cut, but I mean, we've seen like Matthew Wolff and a couple other guys get their big breakout win at this event, so maybe he could do it too. Chan Kim's been playing well. Johnny Vegas is one of the better ball strikers in the field. He did finish T2 here in 2021. So I think there's a lot of good plays from 75 to 79. Rico Hoey almost won. He won he finished second at the,
he was up there at the John Deere. Let me pull him up because I put him in my GPP article this week. So he was up there at the John Deere, but faded on Sunday. But he was top 10 before Sunday. Then he lost in the playoff at the one alternate field event, and then was T8 last week at the alternate field event.
Yeah, so he's been playing real well. I think he had a 6th place finish before the JDC too. So he might be interesting at 7,500 too.
Yeah, I really like him this week. He's shown a propensity to make birdies. I think if you combine his birdies and eagles, he was at least 22 in all of his last 4 starts. So obviously, I think it's maybe a little bit trickier for guys that have been played in the events over in Scotland, and now they have to go back and play on an easier course, versus the guys that have been playing on the easy courses kind of all along here the last couple of months. So I like Hoey at 7,500 this week as well, along with, Meissner, who I already mentioned, kind of in that same neighborhood. I'll let you have the first pick of the rest of the 7K options. Anybody else standing out to you? And then once we get under 7K, it looks pretty rough.
Yeah, Andrew Novak's been playing pretty well. Good ball striker. I'll place on him at 74. Doug Gim always rates out well for me. I never get him right, but we've seen him play well at TPC Sawgrass, another course with a lot of water. He's a good driver of the ball, good iron player, 3 top 30s here. So he seems like he should be able to avoid the trouble, but now that one never feels great. Ben Silverman rates out pretty well. My favorite is probably Kevin Yu. He's top 10 in this field in both off the tee and approach. He's like bottom 3 in putting, but guy that can get it out there. The ball striking should help him avoid the danger, and he did make the cut here last year, finished T37. He's probably my favorite. Who are some of the guys you like?
Yeah, I like the Silverman call. I think he's and you as well. I think those 2 guys are standing out for me. I mean, Silverman had a little bit of a rocky start, but his last 6 events, I think he's made top 40s in all of them. He's only missed 1 cut in his last 10 starts, I believe. I'm trying to pick out his game log here, but I can't keep scrolling over him. There we go. T40 last week at the Barracuda, T31 at the ISCO, John Deere and Rocket Mortgage were both top 20s. So Silverman, I think, is pretty safe there at 7,200. Eckroat, I don't mind as well. Pearson Coody was up there at the ISCO a couple weeks ago. I laughed because I just happened to look at that leaderboard. So that event, for those who aren't familiar, was the same week as the Scottish. So they had the alternate field event. And when I looked at the end of like the first day, or maybe almost the end of the way through the first day, Pearson Coody was in first and his brother was in dead last. It was one at the very top and one there was like 20 strokes apart. So I got a nice chuckle out of that. But Pearson ended up finishing T2 in that event. So probably not playing him here this week, but at least he did play pretty good a couple weeks back. Other guys in the 7Ks, I mean, I've tried playing Berger a few times. It just doesn't seem to be there for him. 4 straight missed cuts. I don't think I can go there. Maybe Chandler Phillips, who's, been making some cuts, missed the cut at the Scottish, but doesn't seem like the kind of guy that would have success on a links type of course. So back stateside, I think he's maybe okay, but I mean, it gets pretty ugly down towards the bottom this week. So, you're only 10.5 is the max you can spend. It's not like you're paying 12K for somebody. Do you really want to dip down into these, 6K values? We don't have the 5Ks this week, so I just don't see much of anything. Do you like anything under 7,000?
No, Henrik Norlander maybe, but not great. He's coming off back-to-back top 25s, both pretty weak field events, but he's interesting. I do like Sam Ryder at 7,100. He always plays well in the Florida swing. I think he just likes, being around water, doesn't make a lot of mistakes. So A guy that's top 10 in birdie or better percentage in this field over the last 12 months. So if you need a guy with some upside, I think Ryder is probably as low as I would go.
All right. Yeah, I don't have anybody else. I think that'll be in my player pool. I will kind of try to cut it off at 7K for the most part. I don't think there's a whole lot of reason to prioritize trying to get like 2 super spend ups just to, go punting for these values at the bottom. So that's how I'm planning to approach it anyway. All right. So with that, we have gotten through the analysis. Of course, if you want to hop off, as always, we thank you for watching. Be sure to give us a thumbs up there on the YouTube, subscribe to the channel. Those 2 things both help us out immensely. And check us out, RotoGrinders.com, RotoGrinders premium package, plenty of good stuff for whatever you're looking for in terms of daily fantasy content. Baseball season still going on strong. Of course, golf here. We've got WNBA and football season will be starting up before you know it. So you can check us out at RotoGrinders.com. If you are looking for a 6-month combo subscription, you can get that at an exclusive price for $69.99. That's a savings of $250 over having 6 individual months of combo premium. You can get your first month for $40 off for a limited time. And if you want a test run before you buy, you can dip your toes in the water with a 3-day pass for $19.99. You can get the links in our description for more info on that. And maybe a 1-week combo, free combo subscription for the winner of our snake draft, or at least the top non-Team RG finisher in the snake draft can get a free week of combo premium. So we will get that snake draft started up right now. I'm concerned about the snake draft already having 2 of 6 in it. That's usually a recipe for an issue, unless you're one of them. Noto, you're not already in, are you?
No.
Well, let's see. I think I've tried and failed to create my own once before, but I used to once create accounts.
$5 5 of 12.
5 of 12. You want to roll a 12 man this week?
But there might be 5 on auto draft. That might take forever.
I don't want 5 auto draftees. Let's see if I can create one here real quick. Let's see. Nope, they don't let you create. I think they let you create a snake draft. I think I tried that once before and hit the same stone wall.
There's a $10 with 1 of 6 if you can.
There's a $10 with 1 of 6. Noto, can you splurge for 10 tonight?
Oh, thanks to Xander, I can do it.
All right, let's do the $10. That's 1 of 6. And if TJ's going to join us, we'll get up to 4, and then we need 2 fine viewers to join us as well.
All right, I'll post it in the chat. Mr. Gerg said the only thing you won last week was the snake draft. So
soft competition in the snake draft last week for sure. Cardinals got their 1 run off Paul Skeens. We'll see if that's enough for him. That's probably about all they're going to get. They lucked into 1 solo homer from Arenado, so they're ahead 1-0. All right, I will take over the screen share once we get this filled. 1 more person to fill up our $10 snake draft. We know Mr. Gerg's got the $10 because he won it last week, so hopefully he's one of our 5.
All right, we're filled.
All right, I got the first pick for one time.
It's a good week for it.
It is a good week for it. See, our buddy B Heels in here is always our sitter. He was the 1 of 6, I'm sure, and he's going to be on autopilot. And it won't put him on auto draft until the last round. And I'll complain about it like I always do. All right, I'll get the screen share fired up here. That's the wrong button. And we'll get started in the snake draft here in about 1 minute. And Get her rolling. Have you been following the Team USA Olympics basketball prep?
It's hard not to if you're on Twitter. Hasn't been going great.
Almost lost as 47-point favorites to South Sudan. And again, I'm sure they put absolutely no effort into prepping for South Sudan the other day, but I found myself rooting for the upset at the end. You know, it's an exhibition game. It doesn't matter. Get the 47-point upset from a team that had like 12 total games of NBA experience, beating the best guys in the league. So that would have been incredible. But
wonder what the money line was.
I said, because Dean and I were on XM that night, and I said somewhere out there is somebody that put like $100,000 on the USA to win like $5, and they're just waking up from their coma. But
did you see Rufus, his golf bets from last week?
No.
So he's an ETR guy, does their golf product, but he put like $2 million on guys not to win.
Oh, not to win. Yeah.
I would be so scared of that market.
Yeah, people did that on Bobby Mack for the Scottish and got burned. So that is not my style. But value bet's a value bet, I guess.
Yeah.
That's what's going to stink about the Olympics, though, because, you know, Paris is like 5 to 9 hours ahead of U.S. Canada time, depending on where time zone you live in. And like all the big stuff is all going to be all over social media. And so the stuff that they show on like primetime TV is like, unless you're living in a rabbit hole, you're going to know about everything before it's on TV.
Yeah, that does suck. It's not going to be live.
I mean, I'm sure they'll show stuff live, you know, and like stream it on the NBC platforms and stuff, but that's going to be going on from like, you know, 3 to 9 a.m. So either you're getting up super early to check it out, or you're getting it spoilers on social media, or you're watching it on tape delay when it's on prime time. I don't know. There's not a good answer for it in this day and age of information sharing.
I remember staying up and watching Xander win and Rory Sabatini get the silver last time.
The old Olympics golf.
What country did he go to get in?
Sabatini?
Yeah.
I forget. I'm going to have to Google that real quick. Because that's funny. I forgot about that. Slovakia.
So
I gotta remember the backstory. I can't. Controversy.
It's a bad start. I didn't realize the draft started, and I auto drafted my first pick.
Who'd you get?
That's okay. As long as you didn't get the.
Okay. He was like
that doesn't kill you.
Yeah.
As long as you didn't get the guy that's not playing. Don't draft the guy that says out next to his name.
I mean, I drafted Thigala on purpose because I knew that was a good pick at 6.
Oh, as I'm running out of time here. Okay.
I know I'll have the full 30 seconds before I get to pick, so. I like Dunlap. Well, I keep getting something went wrong errors here. I'm going to have to refresh. Let's see what happens. Oh, it logged me out. That's nice. There we go. Let's see if it'll let me pick this time. There we go. All right, Dunlap and McNeely. We'll go for the GPP options in there.
Do you see? Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to go back to the Olympics. I was perusing. So U.S. is currently like minus 600 to win the most overall medals. But the men's hoops was like minus 800 a few weeks ago. They're only minus 400 now to win the gold. So people have Canada surging up to second favorite at plus 800. So TJ can get some bragging rights if Canada can knock off the U.S.
I mean, hey, that's a pretty nasty backcourt with Jamal Murray and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
It's pretty good. Ironically, Canada was the one team the U.S. didn't almost lose to in their exhibitions. They almost lost to all the horrible teams. What were you going to say there, Noto?
Did you see Bryson had Trump on his channel?
I did. I haven't watched it yet. I bookmarked it earlier to go back and watch it. So Bryson does this breaking 50 challenge where they do a scramble from the red tees and try to break 50. And I saw that he posted one with Trump, but I didn't watch it yet.
I'm about halfway through. Trump's pretty good.
I saw that he's got a little bit of a weird putting stroke. A little bit of a weird swing, but hey, it's better than mine.
Straight, yeah.
Okay. Let's see. We'll go with Hoey. Where's Meisner? Did somebody take Meisner already? That's what I get for not paying super cool. Oh, yeah, somebody did take him. Oh, he went a while ago.
Time rules.
All right. I'll go with Thor Bjornsson then. Still got to pick 2 or 3 more guys. It's going to get awfully fun. Won't be too long, and all the NFL preseason content will be filling up our feeds. Biggest edge in DFS, they say.
Yep.
I'm never prepared enough in advance to take advantage of the biggest edge. I would be the reason why there's a big edge. Of course, you could just follow our tools here at RotoGrinders and get on top of it. But in terms of my own personal reading, doing the XM stuff has helped because we've had to talk some football already. Cruising along in the draft here, except for our one holdout.
Who's on Hard Knocks this year? Do you know?
Was it the Giants? Oh, it's the Bears.
Ooh, that should be good.
Yeah, it's the Bears. I think the Giants did like an off-season one, and then the Bears are doing the training camp one. All right, I got to get prepared here because we're getting into territory of guys that I'm not even thinking of playing this week.
There are 3 players left in my queue. I'm hoping I get one of them.
That's going to make it all the way back to you there. You do get a bench spot with the snake draft, so only 6 of your 7 scores count. So you're allowed 1 slacker on your team. Oh, I want to take Doug Gim. I still got to take 2 guys. All right, we'll go with Svensson and Cootie. And now our friend finally goes on auto draft for the final pick. So my team is done. Finau, Dunlap, McNeely, Hoey, Thor Bjornsson, Svensson, and Cootie. Actually, not too far out of line with what my DFS lineups will look like this week as well. So.
Same.
Well, 1 guy left in my pool. He made it.
Okay, so Mr. Irrelevant is Carson Young. That's a fine pick this week. Your team is very much live. It didn't get as ugly towards the bottom as I kind of expected, but maybe that just means
other than Tigala and Clanton, I got exclusively guys who are tagged.
There you go. That's always a winning strategy. At least we hope. And that means it'll be a good week for us all if that happens. So with that, time to bring our show to an end for tonight. Thanks to Derek for joining me as usual. I'm Justin. Thanks to TJ filling in for Steve, who's on vacation. I always appreciate TJ's fine work behind the scenes, and we hope you all enjoyed it as well. Good luck this week. We'll be back next week, same time, same place, with another show for you. Until then, take care and good luck, everybody. We'll see you later.